Cyrus and RetroBro, cranking out nostalgia flow. Games of your news today, partial kicks, no delay. Pixels blast, legends rise. 8-bit world pixelize. Controllers we command. Virtual worlds conquest grand. Cyan Bro, metal saints, gaming news without restraints. Retro games, new tech search on this pod, legends merge. Old school tales, arcades fly. Console wars keep it live. Joystick buttons, old school rain. Next gen glory every stage. Retro quest, fury bright. Speed runs battles every night. Cyrus RetroBro stands tall. Gaming legends, they call. CRT screens and LED. Flicker, flash, reverie. Microphone to shield their sword. Podcast singers, gaming lords. Flashing screens and LED. Flicker, flash, reverie. Microphone to shield their sword. Podcast singers, gaming lords.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cyrus and Buddy Cop Show, episode dos. What's going on, man? It's been over a month. A lot of things have happened, like in games and in the world. It's been a pretty crazy month, man.
Yeah, like let's see. A lot of famous people died. We almost had a really terrible situation in the world that ended up just being this crazy thing. Anyway, we won't really go into that, but a lot of YouTubers seem to have exploded or imploded or whatever the term is. And in the world of video games, there's been some interesting releases and some closures. Xbox 360 is being shut down.
I forgot
Like,
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, man. A lot of moving parts, you know.
Well,
And here
since
we
our
are.
last conversation, no one has seen me on YouTube. You have inspired me to start streaming on Rumble, and thank you for that. Although I haven't streamed much on Rumble, so now these will be on YouTube and Rumble. So if you're watching on Rumble, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment. I noticed Rumble is not very good with interaction unless you're streaming. So if you are watching this, drop a comment. Would definitely love to see you on the streams. But yeah, man, it's you and I talked about it a little bit, you know, because you and I have both like kind of came from bygone era of streaming when it comes to retro video games, and we used to stream years ago. It's actually kind of how we met. I met you through Picky Old Gamer on the stream you guys used to do. So Rumble kind of feels like old school YouTube a bit, so I've really been enjoying streaming over there when I get the time. But yeah, I'm over there now, so this is always going to be on YouTube. It'll premiere, so thank you if you're in the chat watching the premiere. Appreciate you guys. We're going to talk about a few topics tonight. Like Cy said, the Game Pass. There was a Game Pass price increase. The 360 store is closing, I think, in like 10 days now. So this is being recorded on the 19th of July. I think we have 10 days left, so get your games now. I have to see if there's anything on there that's not physical that I need to get before it's shut down. That's not on Xbox One or on PC. But yeah, man, it's been crazy. Like, you know, I don't want to harp on politics or anything like that, but I certainly we were going to record last Saturday, and I certainly in my lifetime never thought I would see what we saw last weekend. I mean, the last assassination attempt was over 40 years ago. As I was you know, me, my wife, my kids, we all stopped. We were watching the news because I thought it was important for them to watch that. And just kind of watch that unfold because, you know, I was sitting there talking to my wife. I'm like, I don't think there's been an attempt since Reagan. And I'm pretty sure that was before I was born. And yeah, sure enough, I Googled, it was like 1981. So 4 years before I was even born. Hopefully we never see it again in our lifetime. For anybody, any political side. I mean, really kind of was a reality check, I think, for a lot of Americans, at least sane Americans. Nobody wants to see that, man. You know, regardless of how divisive things can get when it comes to politics, you don't want to see that.
I don't
So,
I don't know
yeah.
how you feel about it, John, but like for me, it was like when you said it was a wake up call, that's definitely how I feel in a lot of ways, not just for politics, but like just how we deal with each other. You know, like
Mhm.
there's like in the wake of this thing that happened, I feel like people don't really know how to talk about politics right now
Yeah.
because people have been so like vicious towards each other and so hyperbolic, and now people are like kind of like, whoa, how do I talk about this now? How do I refer to Trump, like supporters and detractors? Like it's like like, and honestly, that's the wake up call we need for, I know sounds preachy or whatever, but like for our lives, like this contempt that has grown on the internet and outside of the internet, even, where people just hate each other and try to destroy each other. It's really gotten out of control. And yeah, maybe if any good comes from it, from the whole situation, maybe we are forced to sort of rethink how we act when we're talking about each other. I don't know.
Yeah. At
That's
the
a
end of the
dream that I
day,
have, I guess.
at the end of the day, we need to remember that we're all human, man. Someone's you're talking to someone's mom, someone's dad, someone's brother, sister, aunt, grandmother, you know, and I always
Yeah.
try and keep the human element alive when I'm talking to somebody. So yeah, I mean, that's just how I look at things. Like maybe it'll be a cause, and there will be an effect to people change moving forward. But the world of video games is always here to keep us sane, right? So you have been getting into some, is it Famicom stuff from what I was seeing in your Discord? Tell us a little bit
Ooh.
about that.
Ooh. Well, John, you know how you own a top loader NES? You know, the really cool little Nintendo? Well, I bought a top loader Famicom, the AV Famicom.
That's the good
And
one.
yeah, and the one I bought is RGB modded, so it has all that already done. And so yeah, I've been tinkering around with that, setting up my stuff to, blah blah blah. But yeah, I got a better way to convert that signal over. I've been using RetroTink 2X for a long time, but now I've got an OSSC and I'm about to get a RetroTink 5X. So I'm upgrading a lot of quality of what I'm doing and having a lot of fun again. Cause I haven't really, it kind of got stale. I'll be honest with you. I kind of, mastered everything I was doing. I guess you could say mastered. And I was like kind of bored. I was like, I don't know, do I really want to do this or that? So I'm kind of getting rejuvenated back into the old, these things, these old consoles, these NES and Super Nintendo, Genesis, Master System, my TurboGrafx, I'm kind of getting re excited about doing videos and streams and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so that's good, right? And then a lot of it's what we were talking about as far as having a platform that's more like what we used to do also, having a place like Rumble where we can go put stuff, and it's like this smaller, simpler, focused community where there's not all this nonsense. I mean, YouTube is really just, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum, but damn, YouTube has just really devolved into just a cesspool.
Yeah.
Every youth, I was gonna say, like every gaming YouTuber that I see on YouTube, whether intending to or not, their channel has really become something else. It's really not about the games anymore. It's about this other crap, and people get sucked into it, and they feel like they have to defend themselves from other people. There's a lot of talking about each other. You know, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, you know, gossipy stuff. It's very bizarre. But
Yeah,
anyway,
man. It's
so yeah.
you know, and I honestly don't watch much YouTube anymore, to be honest with you. The only time I watch YouTube is when I go to bed at night. I watch the Y Files and I'll watch, you know, space stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But the Y Files is like my channel. I love that
Yes.
channel. Anyone who's into like I wouldn't call it conspiracy theory type stuff, but it's like conspiracy theories and like old like tales like Bigfoot and just that type of stuff. It's
I heard he's
interesting.
getting put. I heard he's getting actually put on a real channel. Like I don't know if it's Tubi or something, but I heard like the Wi-Fi's is moving to like a better thing. Like he's actually getting some real money. He's going to get
Well,
paid.
I learned something about him. He has a history in like his background is TV and film, and I think he's done some TV shows back in the day. So yeah, I mean he knows his stuff, and it shows. I mean when you watch his program on YouTube, it's like, man, this has no business being on YouTube. It's so good. This, like you said, could be a TV series with tons of episodes. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastically done. So that's what I spend my time watching YouTube. And then of course, when I want to watch new trailers, like this Captain America 4, you know, I know we typically talk, we typically talk video games on here. And because that's sort of, you know, our bread and butter. But the new Captain America 4 trailer dropped, and so I don't know, hopefully you can see my screen in Discord. If you want to click on that, we can kind of go over this trailer. I've watched it one time. I haven't been excited about a Marvel movie in, I don't know, a few years now. And this one, I'm a big Anthony Mackie fan, so pretty much anything this guy's in, I'll watch. But we can react to this. I'll keep the volume low. Well, actually, I don't care if it doesn't matter if it gets demonetized. So let me know if you can hear this.
I hear it.
Wilson. Thanks for coming in. Well, thank you for the invite.
So I didn't expect to see him, by the way. I did not expect to see Harrison Ford. That was like, whoa, hello, okay. But it is Disney, and we know he has a huge background with them at this point.
Bye, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look. They said lose the mustache or lose the election. You and I haven't always agreed.
Can we since the time this trailer debuted until now, there's been things that have happened.
Oh, I didn't.
And
catch.
I wonder. I wonder.
They said
does
lose
this
the
hit
mustache
different?
or lose the election.
Oh, with the glass.
You and I haven't always agreed in the past, but I want to make another.
It's a psyop, man. Disney knew. It's a conspiracy.
That's what I've been trying to tell you this whole time. I've tell you, it's the Marvel movies. They're all conspiratorial. It's Disney winking at us and telling us their plans.
The globalists tell us exactly what they're doing. They put it in plain sight.
That's right.
At making Captain America an official military position.
And if we disagree on how to manage this situation, then what happens?
Work with me, Sam. We'll show the world a better way forward.
So that's Thaddeus Ross, by the way, and he was in other movies from previous ones. Obviously now, I think the previous actor who was playing Thaddeus Ross passed away. That's why Harrison Ford's here now. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, that's interesting, man. I see what you're talking about. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I wonder, is it possible that they could delay this movie because
Or change it, change it, because I know The Boys, if you watch The Boys on Amazon Prime, they had to put a because that was filmed, recorded, and already scheduled to air. They had to put like a thing, pretty much a warning at the beginning of the show, which I didn't really think was necessary, but I get it, you know.
You know who I bet has some opinions about this is Max.
Oh yeah, I think he talked about it on his stream. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Sure he is.
Sir, your inner circle has been compromised. Either you can't see that, or you don't want to. What if it's a trap? Global power is shifting. You're just a pawn.
You may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers.
Also, that's the guy from Mandalorian. I always forget his name. He's got a weird name. He's like he's a fantastic bad guy.
Carlos Esposito, I think.
That's it. Yep.
You're right. I'm not.
Red Hulk's coming.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. Within you mentioned Max, and within the movie circle, there's been a lot of, I guess you could call it like skepticism about it. But I'm excited for it, dude. I like I said, I like Anthony Mackie. I like Captain America. I was talking to one streamer, and he's not sold on Falcon being Captain America. He's like, well, you know, Sam is Falcon, and I feel like Falcon's still getting his dues. You know, he's still getting his respect in this movie, and it's not just Captain America. It's like Sam as Captain America, but still being Falcon as well. I don't know if you had anything or thoughts that stood out for you, but I mean,
well,
I'm gonna go see this in the movies.
I haven't seen a Marvel trailer that had me excited in a long time, and this one actually does. It looks fun. It looks like there's a lot going on. It looks like one of the earlier Marvel movies, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's why it's so interesting, because it seems like the problem when you try to continue on, they tried to like sort of reboot, kind of soft reboot a little bit, but it just didn't work because they got caught up in a bunch of stuff people didn't care about. Like I'm not one of those people that gets all hung up on the politics of stuff or the
No, I don't think either of us are. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that it wasn't interesting. That was the problem. It just wasn't interesting. Dude, once you kill Thanos, it's kind of hard to keep going. You're like, okay, why do I care? You know?
You killed not only Thanos, but you killed Tony Stark. You know,
yes,
and I feel like a lot of Marvel died with him. I mean, because he was really the catalyst.
That right there was the entire story. That was the dynamic, you know? That was your main villain and that was your main hero, and you killed them both. Okay. You completed that arc. So it was like, they couldn't quite figure out how to start the engine again. You know, they didn't know which key was the right key or whatever, but this one feels like the proper continuation. In fact, this seems like this is where they should have just gone right after that. So I feel like we're getting back to, and I don't know how good the movie's going to be. I mean, who knows, but it feels interesting again. It feels exciting again. And also, the guy, the Falcon, his character and the actor, I mean, I think we all want him to step up and become like, you know, maybe he'll never be Steve Rogers, right? But he'll be something else. And we want to see what that can be. We want to see his potential realized. We're rooting for him. You know, we want him to do well. So
Well, and
I'm
one thing I'll
excited
add to
about
that, one thing I'll add to that is I know there was a lot of people that were saying that, well, Bucky should have been Captain America, but one of the things that Captain America, like his qualities are the qualities of Steve Rogers, like honor, pride, duty to country, a clean background, a family core values. And I don't know if you watched the Winter Soldier, Falcon Winter Soldier, the TV series, but they really delved into Sam's background, and he has all those same character qualities that Steve Rogers has. So it's like, yeah, he doesn't have the superhuman strength, but I mean, he's the perfect person to step into that role, because it's like, the whole thing with Thor and like who's honorable to pick up the hammer, and it was only Steve Rogers, it was only Captain America. Bucky would not have been able to do something like that. So I like that they took this direction. And going back to what you said too, is like some of these characters that Marvel's putting out, it's like, I don't care about Agatha, I didn't care about the side hero, whatever her name was in the Wakanda movie. I don't care. And like you said, and they're just not, they're not very well done. They feel very like, made for TV type movies, and the writing just hasn't been there. I have a feeling, because like this is one of those core characters. Like, I mean, Sam's been in and Falcon's been in the universe since, I think, like the Winter Soldier. I think this is going to be a Marvel movie that people are going to get excited to go see. I certainly am. I can't speak for everybody, but even my wife saw the trailer. She's like, "Oh, we got to go see that."
I'm right there with you, man. Absolutely.
So February, February is the month for that. I'll have a bunch of new games between now and then. And speaking of games, a lot has been going on with Nintendo, but the one thing that kind of made some noise was this Donkey Kong Country HD remake. Did you see this?
I have not seen this, no.
So I watched part of it. This is the GameSpot trailer. And I'll let this stupid ad play.
What kind of pizza's that?
Good one. Any pizza's good.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country Returns, originally released on the Wii system, is barreling onto Nintendo Switch in HD.
So it's the Wii version, which I'm not sure if I never played.
I never played that one.
The villainous Tiki Tap tribe has hypnotized the local wildlife and stolen Donkey Kong's precious banana hoard. Obstacles in the way?
Such drama.
Just stomp them.
It sounds like such a like a kid's cartoon commercial, like when Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, Nintendo knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And roll on through. Each level is filled with hijinks, but they're no match for these top bananas. From manic minecarts to high-flying rocket barrels, and even hitching a ride on Rambi. There are plenty of transportation methods available. Pass a Joy-Con controller to a buddy for 2-player local co-op. 80 appealing levels are in store, including the additional levels from the Nintendo 3DS version.
I never played that one either.
Donkey Kong Country Returns HD swings onto the Nintendo Switch system
I have
January
that
6th.
Tropical Freeze on my Wii U, and I've never played it. I bought it, but I
never played that one either. Yeah. It looks good, man. I'll tell you, the one thing people are seemingly having a problem with, though, is I believe this is going to be a $60 game, and people are kind of pissy about that. I don't know how you feel about that. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be corrected in the chat, of course, in the comments. But
I buy so many games on sale that I mean I almost never pay full price for a new game.
Yeah.
So $60 is a lot for me. But that's not a reflection on this. In fact, I think I would say this is actually like all the 3DS stuff, the Wii stuff, and it's remastered. I think it's probably, if you're a Nintendo fan, it's probably worth $60 if you, I mean, if you already have, that's the problem though. If you already have the 3DS game and you already have the Wii game, then maybe it's not worth $60.
I'll tell you what would have made it. Yeah, I'll tell you what would have made it be worth $60 for me. If it would have been a Super Nintendo remaster, I'd pay $60 for that.
Yeah, that would be. That's actually what I thought it was at first.
Yeah.
Before.
I thought it was too initially when I first heard about it, and then I watched this trailer and I said, okay, it's the Wii version, which is nice because I've never played it, but there's probably a reason why I never played it. So
yeah,
maybe 40 I would get. I don't know if it's don't quote me that that's I don't know what this is. Don't quote me that it's 60, but I know I did hear ramblings of there being a complaint on price. So
that's a game that bombed. Like everybody was like talking about that.
Oh, this is that what the hell is it called? Yeah, we could talk about that. The what the hell is that game called?
Yes, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
I
don't remember the name of it because I was not interested. I saw
I
it
don't
and I was
either,
like, okay.
but I saw a statistic on Steam when the like beta version came out, there was like only 300 people playing it. It was insanely low. I'm like, oh, it's gonna flop.
I think we're getting to a point where that particular type of game has played out. Like people have really started to not sign up for the live service stuff like they were. Like, you know, I mean, how many of these games have you played over the years? And at a certain point, it's like, wow, what a waste of time. You know, like you waste all this time building up and then it really goes nowhere. They add and they add and they add and it just gets worse and worse. It's like diluted the more they add to it. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. And then eventually you just play something else. And you've wasted like hundreds of hours on nothing. That's kind of how I feel about.
I played Fortnite years ago. I played Apex years ago, but it was brief. I mean, even Destiny was fun, but I really wanted to play it for the campaign. It was a super short campaign, but it becomes so repetitive. It's like, what am I doing? You know, it's. I mean, I should talk. I played Elden Ring for like 300 hours between my PS4 and PC, but I mean, I feel like when I'm playing that game, I'm like making progress in a story, or I'm exploring new areas and finding something new. Those battle royale type games, I feel like, yeah, they just get boring after a while for me. Maybe younger kids feel different, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like you and I are, you know, I'm almost 40. You're a little bit older. You're a couple years older than me. So we come from a different era of gaming, where it was you sat down, you played a game, you wanted to beat the game and finish the game. So maybe it's different for someone 16, 17, 20 years old, because that's what they've had. I mean, Fortnite's a over 10-year-old game now. So if you're 20 years old, I mean, you started playing Fortnite when you're like freaking 10 years old. So it might not be that old, but it's been around for a long time. Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, we've gotten so old. We're kind of, it's really impossible for me to relate to what the kids think about things anymore, you know. But I can just tell you from my observation, like the live service stuff seems to have fallen off, and I think it's not just our generation, obviously, because like you said, nobody showed up for that beta, and it looks like that's going to be a big flop, whatever that game is. I mean, they had the same thing happen on Microsoft with they had something that flopped like that really hard. I can't remember the name of, and it was a live service thing as well. So it's interesting. I'm kind of thinking that there's enough evidence at this point that maybe things are moving in a different direction as far as the public's interest.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see.
We'll see. Plus, I think this one's not free. You know, you look at some of the other games like Fortnite, Apex. I mean, those are all free games, so it's easy for somebody to download a game and play it. There might be a lot more resistance when now you're charging people for a game style that's traditionally been free, or what people are used to was free. So, well,
it's kind of a double-edged sword though, because like if it's free, you also could set it down a lot easier because you don't. So a lot of times, I don't know if you're like this, but like I know you're like this. Actually, I know you're like this. You buy
tell
a
me
game,
how I am.
if you buy a game and you spend your money on a game, you want to get your money's worth. So you're not as quick to just move on. But if it's a free to play game, I mean, you might try it and be like, and then never go back to it, you know?
And you know what?
So,
you're absolutely right. And, you know, that was one of the biggest issues I had with Game Pass, is because I felt like I never was invested to play a game. I was like, just download it, check it out, fiddle with it. It's when you pay 40, 50, 60 bucks for a game, you're more inclined to like, all right, I paid money for this, so I'm gonna get my money's worth out of it. Even if it's a cheaper game, like I bought Bulletstorm on the Steam sale, and it was like $4. It's normally a $40 game. It's the remake, and I mean, I'm enjoying it. Like, it's a fun game, but it's a little repetitive. But I'm gonna finish it because I paid for it, even though I only paid like $4 for it. I'm gonna finish it because I paid for it. But if that was something maybe I downloaded on like Game Pass, I probably wouldn't finish it. So it kind of like keeps me accountable, so to say. So speaking of being accountable, I actually just saw this. We were going to talk about Xbox raising their prices for Game Pass. And we will talk about that, but I just saw that the FTC is actually pushing back against this. This is from today. This afternoon, this article came out. So I think it was last week, Xbox announced that they're going to be raising the price of Game Pass. The monthly price raised from $17 to $20 for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So that's like everything. But there's a new Xbox Game Pass standard for new members. Hold on, let me just read this from the beginning because I'm going to be all over the place. In case you missed it, Microsoft revealed a new tier called Xbox Game Pass Standard, a $15 monthly subscription for new members that include day one releases, EA Play, PC Game Pass, and cloud gaming. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes those perks, will have its monthly price raised from $17 to $20. Xbox Game Pass Core, which only offers online play and a smaller library, is raising its yearly subscription from $60 to $70. So Xbox Game Pass Core is like just kind of what Game Pass is now, but you don't have the day one like releases if you really care to play those. And PC Game Pass is going from $10 to $12 a month. Additionally, the $10.99 Game Pass for console is no longer. This is terribly written. The $10.99 Game Pass console is no longer be available to new subscribers as of July. Where's this article from? It's from Game Informer. Who the hell wrote this? Yeah. Is no longer be available to new subscribers as of July 10th. If existing subscribers fail to renew their membership, they will permanently be locked out of this tier and must subscribe to another more expensive membership. So I haven't had Game Pass for over a year. Well, yeah, it's been maybe about a year. But it's technically been longer than that because I only resubscribed last October to play Lies of P because I didn't want to pay $60 for a game I wasn't sure about. In hindsight, I should have bought the game because I loved it. I put like 80 hours into it. But I was paying $10 a month for that. Had it for a couple months and then deleted it. But your thoughts on the price increase? I know you and I kind of talked about this a little bit offline.
Well, I mean, I think people that Microsoft, they have lost the narrative thread. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They're in a sailboat in the middle of the ocean, and their sail is broken. So they're paddling with their hands, trying to figure out how to get to somewhere, but they don't know where. They can't decide on what. Do we go this way? Do we go that way? Do we paddle harder this way or that way? Like, and then the heads up at Microsoft that talk down to the people at Xbox now, they're just like, you need to start paying back some of this money you spent on all this crap. So they're making these weird decisions that I'm like, with all the negative publicity and all the terrible stuff that happened, and then to do this in the wake of that, especially after Hellblade 2 bombed, and
everybody's was a big bomb. Yeah, that was brutal.
I mean, everybody's just, nobody has any faith. And then the same time they do this shit, they announce, oh, you don't even need an Xbox because you can just stream everything. Here's they're promoting their app, which I knew was coming years ago. Me and Picky Old Gamer talked about this, and it's finally happened. They're promoting a streaming app that's not connected to any hardware. It's like you could just put it on your TV. You could put it on, assuming your TV has it has to meet certain requirements because of the streaming or whatever. But I've seen Digital Foundry do an interesting breakdown on this streaming thing that they have, and they're like, it's not even good. Like, it's it's not even as good as Sony's streaming, which is so bizarre because Sony's streaming is not good. It's not great. So it's like, nobody's going to do that. Like, you might play with that a little bit. You might try it, but nobody's going to be like, this is my primary gaming. This is where I do my gaming. Yeah. Like, nobody's going to do that. I mean, look what happened with Stadia. It was a disaster. It was the Titanic, and now we're in the little sub going down to see the Titanic. And how's that going to end? We know how that ends too. Microsoft is making decisions. How does any of this make sense? How does any of that, like, who's going, well, I guess I got to pay that. Game Pass is so, I do still hear certain people say that they think Game Pass is the greatest deal in gaming. I still hear people say that. And I'm like, you are ingrained and you are indoctrinated. You are invested. So you feel like, and I believe me, as somebody, as someone who got invested into something and couldn't see the forest for the trees, that has happened to me before. I can relate to that. I can feel somebody's pain of giving up on something. I know what that's like when you realize, oh, this isn't working out, and you get defensive, right? I understand that. But let's be realistic for a second. How in the fuck are they raising the prices on everything? How are they doing that? Who thinks that's a good idea? Who thinks that's going to help them? I mean, like, yeah. I just don't understand. Like, and here's the other thing. So they're going to put all their Activision stuff on Game Pass, right? So that's all the Call of Duty stuff and all the stuff that they're not going to sell because it's all going to be on Game Pass. So the Xbox people are just going to do that. I'm just confused. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's such a mess at this point.
And interestingly enough, you bring up the Activision acquisition because this is one of apparently the FTC had a filing on this, and they mentioned that specifically, and this is one of the reasons why they were worried about this type of thing happening, because for those that remember, the FTC was pushing back really hard when it came to Microsoft purchasing Activision. And this article here says the FTC was the primary opposition against Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard and sees this move as proof of its concerns over the purchase. This is quoted as FTC, so this is probably from the article here. Microsoft's price increase and product degradation combined with Microsoft's reduced investments in output and product quality via employee layoffs are the hallmarks of a firm exercising market power post-merger. The FTC goes on to call the price increase inconsistent with the case Microsoft made during the Xbox FTC trial last year. It states Microsoft promised that the acquisition would benefit consumers by making Call of Duty available on Microsoft's Game Pass on the day it is released on console, with no price increase for the service on the acquisition.
Yeah, that's
Microsoft's post-merger actions thus vindicate the congressional design of preliminary halting mergers to fully evaluate their likely competitive effects and judicial skepticism of promises inconsistent with the firm's economic incentives. So the FTC is saying, hey, you said that this was going to be a good thing for gamers, didn't say there would be a price increase, and essentially put these now behind an even higher paywall. So they're like,
they
what
lied.
are you doing here?
They lied.
They lied to the FTC. The last, and this goes on, the final sentence says, the last portion references Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the first new entry to release post-acquisition, October 25, launch on Game Pass Ultimate, roughly a month after the subscriptions tier's price increase. So you're going to have the highest tier to play Call of Duty. You can't just have the base Game Pass on your Xbox now to play these Activision titles when they're released. And that's where the FTC has a problem with it. Because they said, well, you said this was going to be good for gamers. This was consumer friendly. You didn't mention a price increase. So look at this hand while this hand's down here.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, the way Microsoft has been over these last few years, it doesn't surprise me. I know we spent a lot of time last show talking about Microsoft and Game Pass, but I mean, this just continues, you know, you could talk about all the shit in video games and woke this, but I mean, this is really the stuff here that's affecting gamers.
Dude, yes.
I mean, the degradation of these types of this shit that goes on. I mean, who cares if a character is a different? I don't care. I care like what kind of quality of games am I getting? And now this is becoming a problem because Microsoft has all these studios. It's crazy.
I want to shake YouTubers, gaming, quote unquote, gaming YouTubers, and just be like, why are you talking about this culture stuff? This is the stuff. The gaming is being eroded and destroyed. Like, I mean, they're doing, Sony's getting rid of physical stuff. They're going to stop making Blu-rays. Microsoft is shutting down. Yeah. Sony's going to stop manufacturing Blu-rays. That's crazy.
So what, you have to buy a movie digitally then? How's this?
Well, they're still going to do 4K Blu-ray stuff, but like the regular Blu-ray stuff is being phased out.
Shit.
And that's for games and movies and everything. That's the format. Okay. And that's, Sony has a control of that they can do that kind of stuff. But it's like we're watching a lot of what we think is gaming slowly deteriorating around us, and nobody wants to talk about it because it's not fun. It's not fun to, it's more fun to go after this or talk about people's choices or, drama between this and that. This is your drama. What's going on. And I don't even think Microsoft, well, let me say it like this. The team at Xbox, I don't even think they want to do this. I think they have to do this because Microsoft, the big Microsoft, is forcing them to make decisions to try to recoup the money that they've invested in all these studios and publishers. I don't think that the higher ups at the Xbox team really understood what the price was going to be for what they thought they were doing. I think they got themselves into a mess they didn't fully understand. And then when they figured out there was going to be some real tough decisions come down from on high that they were going to have to adhere to, I think it was like, oh, what have we done? And now they're stuck. I mean, I'm just saying, every time I see Phil Spencer talk now, he seems like
a broken man.
Yes, he seems distraught, and he seems like he's fighting internal demons just to stand there and speak. Like, there's a lot going on they're not talking about. They're not telling the public because they can't. But I feel like they are working in a minefield of their own creation. They have like painted themselves into a corner with mines, and now they can't get out of the room they're in without blowing up shit that they love. You know, and it's laying off all those people. My God, how many people did they lay off? They've killed entire divisions at Xbox and Microsoft, you know, Microsoft Gaming, which is, I guess, what they're calling it now. It's
Think
nuts.
about it, dude. They spent $68 billion to acquire Blizzard and Activision.
Yeah.
Investors and the board, I mean, this is a publicly traded company. The first thing they're going to ask you is, okay, now go recoup this money. You said we were going to make money if you do this. Well, I don't know about you. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty smart person. $68 billion and then trying to tell me to turn that into a profit, I'm out. I can't do that. I mean, that's hard for anybody to do. I just, yeah, like you said, maybe Microsoft looked at that and said, yeah, this is what you're going to do. You're going to lay off these people. You're going to increase your price, and we'll start from there and see what happens. I mean, because, dude, they're not going to make that back making a new game. They're not, I mean, there's a new Doom coming out. Sure, awesome, great. That's not making $70 billion. You know what I mean? Like, and Game Pass, like, do they really have that many subscribers to make this? There's no way.
We've talked about that. Game Pass is a Ponzi scheme, basically. It's you have to keep bringing in to make it look like it's doing well, and it there's no way it does. I mean, the people in the industry have referred to it that way. They've said this doesn't work. This is not going to end well. And you know, so this that we're seeing right now, this price increase for Game Pass, this is the next incremental step towards them till, you know, it becoming obvious to everybody that this system doesn't actually work. But I mean, there's a reason Sony and Nintendo haven't gone all in on a similar type of thing. There's a reason. And there's a reason Steam doesn't do this, you know, because it doesn't work. It's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, man.
You know, Microsoft, you know, Sony, Nintendo, they have their monthly subscriptions. Sony has something similar. But it's kind of like an afterthought for them. You know, obviously Nintendo's like games first. Let's make games, put them on our system, games first. Sony is still there. Now, Sony has been doing some questionable things too with their development, and part of that, you know, I understand game development is insanely expensive now, so I expect there to be less games. When we were kids, dude, you got new games all the time. I mean, think about it. In a 5-year span of the fourth gen, there was 700 and some games on the Genesis. I think more than that on the Super Nintendo, or maybe just as many. Divide that by 5 years, dude. You're constantly getting new games. It's insane how many new games we get. There was a plethora of games you could play forever. You know, now we get first party games, 1 a year, maybe 2 a year. But you know, the streaming then is the afterthought. Microsoft's doing this thing. It's like, well, let's make that the number one thing, and just, you know, charge people for all these existing games that we have, and just make a digital rental service. It's bizarro land, man. You know, and thankfully, you know, you mentioned Steam. Thankfully, there is still, everything is on Steam. It's free. There's cheap games on there. There's crazy good deals on there. They run sales all the time. And like you said, it's 100% free. I don't have to pay a subscription fee to chat with somebody online if I'm playing a game with them. And Valve is like an infinite amount of money at this point. It's ridiculous.
I was gonna say, at least until Microsoft buys Valve.
Don't speak such heresy. Oh my gosh, I
Well,
would crawl into a fetal position. I don't think that'll ever happen. I
mean,
don't know. I think that would be blocked. I'm talking about the FTC
before.
blocking things. I think the FTC would step in at that point and say and say no way.
I think at this point, Microsoft has really used up whatever goodwill they had with the FTC. I think any more acquisitions of that kind of nature they're not gonna let that go, because they lied to the FTC. I mean, they under oath said certain things that actually they went the opposite direction and did what they said they wouldn't do. You're not going to ingratiate yourself to investigators by doing that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, you know, I think that ultimately the console space is going to become basically Sony and Nintendo. Microsoft's going to get out of this console thing at some point. I mean, that's obvious. That's coming. And
I think when they can figure out this cloud streaming that they have, and it can actually be not great, but okay, I think you're going to see a major shift.
Yeah, something big will change. And I mean, that's just the inevitability of what's happening with Microsoft. You know, they're shrinking.
But like you said, dude, who's going to play games like that? I mean, that's the thing. Like, sure, you could put Game Pass on a Fire Stick or Google Chrome or whatever the hell they have that connects to your TV. But I don't know about you, but I'm not playing a game like that. I'm either on a console or on my PC. Well, and I think most gamers are still like that. Like, the hardcore gamers are still there, and there's still a lot of people on Xbox.
I think the problem that they have with Xbox is the direction that they chose to go in was the Xbox sort of became more like a PC, like as far as their focus. We want the best graphics. We want, you know, big tent kind of philosophy and all this kind of stuff. But the problem they had was they're charging to play online. And so PC people look at Xbox like, why in the hell would I ever do that? You know, at least with a Nintendo console or a Sony console, PC gamers can be like, well, there's very unique things there that I can't do on PC. So I might do that and also have my PC, you know? And I think that's a tough sell as far as Xbox. The only unique thing about Xbox is its Game Pass service, which is on PC and is becoming more like what was offered on console, especially with the price increase. But it's becoming a harder and harder sell for somebody just coming into gaming, especially, or somebody who, like, if you're a dad and you're buying your kids a game system, it's really getting hard to sell the idea of getting an Xbox, you know?
I think when Game Pass launched, if I recall, initially it was like $10 a month. And I felt like that was a good deal, because that's the price in a year. That's the price of 2 games. I can play way more than 2 games in a year. So I would have really got my money's worth. But now you're talking, what, $22? So you're talking $264 a year. I mean, you're better off just, you know,
$240 a year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, it's $22. $22, right?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. You're right.
Either way, still, I mean, it's over $200. So, you know, at that point, you're better off just waiting, getting your. I mean, Steam sales are awesome. I mean, a game comes out for $70. 3 months later on Steam, it's discounted. It's on a sale for $39.
Dude, not even a year. A lot of times, just a few months or a couple of months.
Usually 6 months, you'll see them 20% discounted. So you're looking at $40. I mean, I've seen, you know, that Hogwarts game that came out, you know, it was a $60 game. And I remember it within 3 months, I think the holiday season or whatever, because I think it came out last summer. By the holidays, it was on sale for $35. So just buy them on sale, and you're spending less than you would on Game Pass, and then you own the game. By the way, now technically, I mean, if you want to get into all that whole is digital ownership, but let's say you own the game, versus just paying to rent it, and then you don't have the service anymore, and then you don't have the game. So it's getting to this point where it's really not even worth it. I mean, and then they want to say, oh, but you pay more and you'll have the day one releases. Okay, well, besides Call of Duty, I mean, who the hell cares? You're not making a new Halo. The last Forza game you released was a complete fucking dumpster fire. I mean, was that Forza 8, the newest one? I mean, that game was awful. It was buggy. It was broken. Yeah. It looked. The ray tracing was terrible. I mean, it looked bad. I installed it on my computer because I had Game Pass, and I played it for all of 2 minutes and deleted it because it was so bad. So your first party games aren't even worth having Game Pass for.
The outages they've had recently have also highlighted the problem. Like, if you're paying for Game Pass and there's any kind of an outage, whether it's your internet or their thing or whatever, you can't play any games. Like, you won't even be able to play the games you've downloaded because they have to check in. This was what we were all concerned about with the Xbox One when it was announced that they would have like this thing where you had to connect and then it approve and then you could play your games. Well, that's what's happening now. And there, when there was an outage, when was this? A couple of weeks ago?
It was a couple of weeks ago. Snoop Dogg tweeted about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He tweeted
Snoop
about
Dogg,
it.
The chillest dude in the world. Yeah. But he's, I don't know if you want to play that, but holy crap, dude. I mean, this is the future. This is what we're all like supposed to be signed up for and talk about the best deal in gaming.
I'm trying to find the right one. Where's my...
It's a bunch of motherfuckers at home that's locked and loaded right now.
Here we go. Did you see this? This is fantastic. Get Snoop Dogg bitching that Game Pass is down. This was great because my wife told me because my wife plays Sims and she was going to sit down and play Sims and she's like, I guess Xbox is down. I'm like, well, what do you mean it's down? She's like, well, I can't get on because their servers are down. I'm like, how does that even happen? Like, what?
Can't even play the Sims. Sims doesn't even need to be online. I can't play. That's
don't even get me started on that. But yeah, here's Snoop Dogg complaining that the servers are down.
Get that shit back up. We trying to play. It's a bunch of motherfuckers at home that's locked and loaded right now. Fix this shit. Bill Gates, Microsoft, whoever the fuck. All these motherfucking bullshit ass vaccines y'all trying to give us. Fix the motherfucking video game. The server is down.
The way when he said Bill Gates, I was like, damn. He like fix his shit, man. Dude, they locked and loaded. Oh my god. I don't think he meant what people might think he meant, but yeah.
I think that needs to be a drop. That needs to be a sound drop. Bill Gates.
There's like 4 drops in that. There's like 4 separate audio drops you could pull out of that one little video. That's crazy. Bill Gates. Damn. Fix your shit.
But yeah, I saw that. I was like, yeah, because my wife was complaining about it, and then after the fact, I saw that, and I was like, I guess you were right, man. Snoop Dogg's on Twitter bitching about it.
Dude, if you piss off Snoop Dogg, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know? I'm sorry. I know that I come across for years as a Sony pony and a hater and all that kind of stuff. Fine. Okay, I'll accept that. Maybe I am a Sony pony and a hater. Sure. But it's not for no reason. You know, it's not like there's no reason. I'm just upset. I'm a huge Xbox fan. That's why I'm so pissed. You know, the 360 shutting down. I've been buying these cheap games. You know, they put every Resident Evil on sale for $2 a piece. I bought all of them, and I love my 360. I will, yeah. Like, there's so many games on sale for next to nothing. I've been picking up all kinds of stuff in my 360. And I will always love my 360, and I will play my 360 on streams. You know, at a certain point, I'm gonna stop buying new consoles and new games and just play old stuff. I know that's gonna happen at a certain point. when is that? It seems like it's coming pretty soon. It seems like it's coming.
I mean, aside from like having to have a new Nintendo console, I think, and even I have a Switch and I don't even really play the Switch, but I think I'm pretty much there because I have my PC if I want to play new games. And dude, I have my 360 is still hooked up. In fact, I was looking at because I was streaming Bulletstorm the other day, and that game had originally released on 360 and PS3. And I was like, I wonder how much this game cost on 360. It's like you could buy it on eBay for $3, complete in box. And I'm like, wow, now's the time to buy PS3 and Xbox 360 stuff because nobody is buying that shit right now. And it's still, I mean, you look at the library for those two systems, phenomenal library. I mean, that was a great generation of games. And there's so much there. I'll just play that stuff if I want to play older games. I have obviously my retro consoles hooked up. But as far as consoles, like I'm done buying new consoles. I have no reason to buy a PS5 because all those games are coming to PC. They come a couple years later, but they're great releases. Sony does it well with how they do it, and I don't mind waiting because I feel like I have a better experience, especially on my PC because I had to buy this brand new PC last month. We talked about that on our last show. So new stuff, I got the best experience on my PC, and then whatever is older, last gen, previous gens, playing those old consoles, I'm fine. I still have my PS4 hooked up. But yeah, I mean, new console wise, I'm done. I don't need to have one because they're putting everything on PC now.
I mean, probably, I think we both agree. We'll probably get like the next Nintendo console, just because Nintendo's going to put out games that are not on anything else, and they'll do something very interesting and unique because that's Nintendo. But like, you're right. Like the PS5 era has been very meh, like there hasn't been that many games that were even PS5 games. Like most of them are PS4 games with an upgrade. So there are a few games that are on PS5, but like you said, they're coming to PC. The incentive to get a PlayStation is not what it used to be. And Xbox, I mean, I don't even know. I'm hearing that the Series S's are being liquidated out. I'm hearing they're running out of them everywhere. So I guess they're not going to be replenishing those. So it's only a matter of time. Yeah. I think it's only a matter of time before this whole console thing really changes. I mean, with physical media going away, storefronts aren't going to be, I mean, your big stores are not going to be carrying games like they used to. It's going to become a different kind of market, I really think there's going to come a time when you go into like Walmart and the only thing they have in there is a Nintendo system and maybe a Sony system. There's not going to be an Xbox system, but there'll be a Nintendo system, but it'll be more like toys. It'll be more like Nintendo just does kids stuff. That's what they primarily do, but like hardcore gaming is not going to be sold at retail. It's going to be digital. And what I'm interested is, what will the market look like when it's not as available? Like when there aren't physical games and there aren't things in stores and people aren't shopping for like moms and dads when they're buying gifts and stuff, when games aren't available the way they used to be, at least hardcore games, what's going to happen to that marketplace? Like it's going to still continue on PC, obviously, but I don't know. Again, I'm older and I kind of think of things in an older shopping experience. So it's just a question I have, like what's going to happen to
I tell you, I think I know where you're going with this. I think the younger generation doesn't care as much because my kids have grown up in the digital era. They've never really, we don't buy movies like we used to. Yeah. We don't buy, like when we were kids, you bought tapes, you bought cartridges, you bought games, you bought cassettes, and then you bought CDs. Like we owned physical media. That was part of our childhood. And you had to have something to play every single thing, like it didn't all play in the same fucking thing. So I think for us it's different, but for the younger kids, they're so used to everything just being digital, that they don't really. I don't think they think of it. So they really just expect their games to be the same way. I still remember the first time I brought home when I started rebuying, retro stuff, and like back in like 2015, and I brought a Genesis home, and my kid's like, wow, she legitimately said this to me. The controllers have cords. Like that was like weird to her that it had a cord that you had to plug in. To us, that sounds crazy. Like, yeah, no shit, it has a cord. But for them, I mean,
no, I understand, because it's like that's a good thing. Like I imagine, like, you remember, like, have you ever used a TV remote that had a cable, like an old TV remote that had a cord hooked up to a TV? Have you ever seen one like that?
I've never seen. I mean, I've seen the TVs. Like my grandparents had the TV. You had to turn the dial. They had one of those until they upgraded to the cable box. But
I kind of was thinking like
with a cord.
Yeah, we used to have a VCR that had, it was the very first VCR we got, had a remote with a cord connected to the VCR, and obviously very quickly things went cordless. But like that's sort of what I kind of think about. Like if you think about like something like that, it's like, yeah, that would be really weird to go back and see. If you're used to seeing all these things wireless, and to go back and see something with a cord that you're not used to, that'd be a mind trip. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean,
That's
I think
funny.
it's an inevitability. I think that's just everything's going to be. I mean, at some point in our lifetime, all games are going to be digital. I mean, you're going to have
it's going to be
small companies doing these limited small releases and stuff like that, but I think it's going to be very limited. And the first things that are going to go is these big AAA titles from these big like EA, Ubisoft, Activision. Those are going to be the first ones. I mean, they're already trying to do it. I think those will be the first ones, and then indie and everyone else will kind of follow suit. I mean, most indie stuff is already digital because it's expensive to put stuff on physical media. You don't have the means to do it.
Yeah, and I think we all know that eventually, and I don't know how long it'll be, but eventually hardware for running games will become a thing of the past, because these kids, they don't care about, I mean, they want everything on their phone as an app, and they don't want anything, like you said, physical of any kind. In fact, like I said, I think gaming will eventually, like, I kind of think of it, we were talking about VCRs a second ago. I kind of think about in the home video space, VHS became a standard because it wasn't the best, but it was the most affordable and convenient and easiest. And there was a lot of like, it made it, that process, simple and easy and affordable. And that's what wins. It doesn't matter how good something is, as long as it's good enough. It just needs to be good enough. And then that will win if it's cheap and affordable and easy. So that's why the apps will eventually destroy hardware, and there won't be consoles and there won't be PC gaming. It will just be these apps on these, it may not even be devices. It may just be, I mean, technology changes so fast. There might be little chip you put on your head, and now it's in your head. And
yeah,
I mean,
I hope I'm dead by the time that becomes a thing. But I think, I think I think it will eventually be there, but I think that will take longer because you will have more resistance to that, because I mean, good luck trying to convince PC gamers to play games on something other than a PC. So I think that, I mean, plus people have PCs. So I think like, I have a freaking laptop for work. I have this PC. I mean, my daughter has my old laptop. So I think there's always going to be a use for PC. So I think games will always be on PCs, because I feel like that market's always going to be there, kind of like a mobile phone. Like everyone has a phone. Most people still have computers. So you're going to have games on both. Consoles, like you said, could be a different story. Obviously Microsoft probably the first ones to stop doing it. I don't see I don't see a world that I live in where there's no such thing as a Nintendo console. I don't see it.
Nintendo does their own thing, and they don't, you know, they make toys, and they think in that term. Like what they think they're making is toys, and as long as they stay in that lane, they'll always be successful because that's their lane. Nobody does that like Nintendo does that. So yeah, but as far as like
one of the reasons why they've still been as successful as they have with underpowered consoles is because they, you know, everyone jokes like, oh, you know, Nintendo says they're not competing with Sony and Microsoft, and obviously yes, they're in the same market, but they kind of aren't, you know, because they have that like toy mentality. Plus, it's the only place you can play Mario Brothers. I mean, as long as that's a thing, I mean, Mario is still as well known as, you know, Mario's probably more well known than Mickey Mouse at this point. I don't even think most little kids know who Mickey Mouse is.
Yeah, Nintendo has a lot of IPs that are very popular, and they're smart about pacing them out. They know how to keep them fresh and interesting and fun, and they don't get too caught up in the, I mean, Microsoft and Sony have fought each other for what? Their whole war against each other about who's got the best console. What a stupid waste of money and time. Like, you're not going to be the best. The best is PC. It's always going to be PC. As long as PC's, you know, as long as that marketplace is a viable thing, which, like you said, there's no slowing down on that right now. So they have wasted an enormous amount of their effort trying to be something that they're not. And Nintendo has not made that mistake. So,
and you go back to Microsoft and Sony talking about, you know, oh, look, our console's so powerful. You know, it's as powerful as a PC. It's like, yeah, it was as powerful as a PC in 2020 when it was released. But you look at hardware on a PC now, and it's 3 gens ahead. I mean, I'm running a 4070. The PS5 has a graphics card that's equivalent to, like, I think a 2070 or a 2080. So I'm 2 generations ahead on my PC than a PS5 is. So why even bother? Why even try? And I mean, you're not going to convert PC gamers because, oh, look at how powerful our console is. Like, okay, great. I'll just upgrade my graphics card in 2 years and be 2 generations ahead of you. It doesn't matter, and you're still going to have the same hardware. It goes back to they somewhere along the line, they lost focus on the games, and it became about the hardware and console gaming. And it's like, when did that happen? Because that's when you started to see, and maybe it happened after the 360, because I feel like the 360 era, we were still getting a lot of exclusives on both consoles, the PlayStation and Xbox, and they were still very different, like, platforms. Like, the games on Xbox were still a lot different than the games you had on Sony. Like, on Xbox, we had Gears of War. On Sony, there was that, was it that one shooter game that you always like tell me about? You had that. You had Halo on Microsoft. And it was 2 different experiences, and the only way to have those experiences was to buy the consoles. And now it's like, well, it's just the same across the board. I mean, Sony might have a couple different IPs that Microsoft doesn't have, and these first-party exclusives are so few and far between now. It's not worth it.
I had an idea. Tell me what you think about this. I think the big change happened, and it caught Microsoft and Sony by surprise. And it wasn't it wasn't a change that you might expect. The change that happened that affected so many things was when controller support became more universal for PC. Because at a certain point, the Xbox 360 controller became the standard controller on PC. And it support for it was integrated into pretty much every game that's coming out on Steam or whatever service you want to use on PC. That didn't used to be the case. And it wasn't that long ago that it wasn't. It wasn't that long ago that the controller support was like iffy at best. And maybe you could make it work if you knew how, and if you put a program that like you could map your keys and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't that long ago I was mapping keys to get a controller to work properly. You know what I'm saying? And when they figured out that standardized 360 support and then Xbox One controller support and so forth, that changed fundamentally the difference between PC gaming and that made them very similar. That turned the PC into a better console. That's what happened, because it didn't used to be that way. And when that change happened, I really feel like Sony and Microsoft were kind of like blindsided by like, oh, what have we done here? Like, what's happened? This is now people can just play the exact same games on PC and they're just better. It's not a different experience. It's just a better experience. That didn't used to be the case. It used to be a very different mouse and keyboard only, or some controller support, maybe if you had the right controller. But yeah, so and then once that became homogenized, once it became for PC gaming available, then it's like, oh, I don't have to pay an online fee and I can get a better experience with my controller and play the same games. It just became, I mean, that whole argument of we're going to make our console like a PC or better, or like we're going to try to compete with PC, that became a stupid idea, because, you know, this unique experience of what was being offered is gone. The only way you can have a unique experience now is if you do unique things like Nintendo does, or sometimes Sony will do. But it's just fundamentally, there's no PC gamer is ever going to look at a PlayStation or an Xbox and be like, oh man, I went with the wrong platform. That's not going to happen.
Being a PC gamer now for a little over 2 years, I will tell you I've never regretted the decision of going with PC over Xbox One X or a PS5. It hasn't even like crossed my mind. Now, like, I've thought about buying a PS5 like when that new Spider-Man game came out, but I was like, I'll just wait, because I have a whole massive library on Steam and backlog that I can play. And I'll tell you another thing, you mentioned like when it happened, and a lot of it was Steam too, because Steam kind of made it a place where it kind of consoleized your gaming experience, like with the, I mean, then they had like the Steam, remember that was it a Steam box? Do you remember that thing? I mean, they were selling those in Walmart. So, I mean, you had a direct competitor, and it's like, oh, okay. So like Steam came out, and so PC gaming can be like console gaming, because for the longest time, like, I mean, I played PC games back in like the early and mid 90s, and it sucked, dude. It was like everything you had to use your keyboard for everything. There was no controller. You didn't use a controller on PC games in the 90s. It wasn't a thing. Maybe some people did. I don't know those people, but I didn't. Like, I wasn't that guy. Right. So I never really bothered, because I was like, that's not really, it didn't feel like video gaming. And that stuck with me for like such a long time, up until like maybe like 2014, 2015. And I started seeing the thing with the Steam box and the Steam. I was like, oh, okay. And I had a laptop. I was like, let me check out Steam. So I downloaded Steam on my laptop, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is easy. Like, I don't have to mess with drivers, and everything's plug and play now. And I mean, if I buy a game on Steam, I install it, I click play, I plug my controller in, and I'm playing the game. I don't have to think twice about it.
Yeah. That didn't used to be the case.
No.
That evolution, you can thank Valve for that, because, you know, until Steam became a thing and became popular, there wasn't a push to homogenize the gaming experience to where, you know, a lot of this became plug and play for controllers and stuff. So
shit, I remember going to in like 2006, going to, it might have been Best Buy. I had to go buy Command and Conquer Generals at the store, because I didn't even know if you could download online games. Never even heard of that. Plus, it would have taken forever. You had the buy the disc, put it in. You had the code on the back of the box and install it and go through the process. And then your mouse and keyboard, which I mean, Command and Conquer General is like you want a mouse and keyboard, but that's one type of game I would still only use a mouse and keyboard. But yeah, it changed quickly, like overnight, it seemed like. And that was because of Steam.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, absolutely. Wow. So we've seen a lot of change. We're going to keep seeing change. And I don't know, you know, how much more change do I want to participate in? That's the question.
That's the lifelong, that's the question we ask ourselves all the time, man. Speaking of Steam, I don't know about you, but the summer sale happened. By the way, my game was half off. So I participated in the Steam summer sale by discounting my game 50%. So that was cool. A lot of people downloaded it. I think I'm over 50 downloads now on Steam, which is pretty awesome. So in about 900,990, I'll be a millionaire at that pace. But no,
you're almost there.
I got some good games. I got a couple games. I got a Dead Island 2. Jason's been bugging me to play that game. I checked it out. Chris has been playing it. They both really enjoy it. So I got that. I got Bulletstorm. I got a couple indie games. I think I bought, and going back to the whole getting stuff on discount, I bought 6 games for less than it was like $48. Some games are newer, some games are a little bit older, but I also got that Turok remaster because I really want to play that, because I always wanted to go back, because I didn't have an N64, I had a PS1, and I always wanted to go back and play Turok, but I hate the controls. I mean, for anyone who's gone back to play that game, even on an emulator, it's just it's a tough time, man. It's like kind of going back to tank controls. So they have the remaster. I got it on Steam. It was like, dude, it was like $2. So I was like, yeah, I got to get this. So I'm excited. I'm going to play that. I'm probably going to stream that. That'll be fun to stream, I think. To stream that remaster. Because I don't need like brand new fancy remastered graphics. I just need the better controls. Like I can enjoy those shitty old graphics. I'm fine. Trust me when I tell you, I'm good with bad graphics. But I can't, like, same thing. I can't go back and play Tomb Raider because of those stupid tank controls. It's just the only game I can like be okay with tank controls is the first 2 Resident Evil games, because I played so much of those games. It would feel weird to play those without tank controls.
I agree with that, you know, but you know, that's the problem with being old, is we have so many experiences to draw from and that remain in our heads. So sometimes it's hard to overcome. It's not just nostalgia, it's also conditioning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
So that's it for the topics, man. Have you been playing any new games, or is it really just the retro stuff? Are you playing through any older games?
I was playing this game on the Nintendo Switch, which is also on Steam, called 9 Years of Shadows, and it's a Metroidvania style game, which actually, John, I think you would actually really like it. It's similar in a lot of ways to Symphony of the Night. And it is hard as balls. Like, it starts off not too bad, but as it continues to go, the bosses are like Dark Souls. It's like so hard. I'm at the end of the game. I have like 2 bosses left, and I kind of have just stopped playing it because it's so hard. So I was like, I bet John would really like this. Plus, it's pretty long. It's got a lot in it.
I'm gonna share. Yep, no, that I did that on purpose. Don't worry. Okay. I'm actually gonna share that that game.
Yeah, that's it.
Because this looks good, man.
No, it's very good. I got it on sale. I think it only cost me like $5 or something like that. So if you can get it on sale, definitely pick it up, John, because I know you'll like it. It's good. That's the only real newer game that I've been playing, and I haven't for about a week now because I've been tinkering with my old consoles and stuff. But pretty good.
I'm gonna put this game up because I watched you stream it, and yeah, man, it looks. Where's Steam at here? I'll play this here.
Dude, the graphics are fucking amazing. Like it's like 2D style, but it looks like a PlayStation, like a HD PlayStation 1 game almost.
I watched you stream it. It looks good, and yeah, you're probably right. I'm gonna wish list this.
Yeah, you'll like that game.
So you gave up on it, huh? It's got too hard for you?
For now. I might
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to it, but it's just so hard. Like the last two bosses are just so hard. I was like, okay, I gotta stop. But
This
it's
is like
really
their
good.
basic trailer. Here we go. How did you find this game?
It was on, I do searches sometimes on the Switch for like newer stuff just to see. And it was a new game and it was on sale because sometimes the new games will be on sale. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting because it showed a little video of it. So I bought it because it was like $5. And I was pleasantly surprised at how good it is.
Yeah, you played it quite a bit. I actually watched you kill that boss. You were dialed in too, man. It was like when I was fighting a boss on Dark Souls, I was like, oh yeah, he's dialed in.
Dude,
Yeah.
the whole time I'm playing this, I'm like, this is a 2D Dark Souls. This is exactly right up your alley. It's like Castlevania meets Dark Souls with Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I'm sorry. Not really with the Mike Tyson's Punch Out. But,
It's got a mostly positive, so yeah, it looks like a lot of people really enjoy it on Steam. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. By the way, I'm not being paid. It's not commercial or promotional. I don't know.
Here's another thing I like about Steam, right? So I found this game, and I do this really often on Steam, is if I see a game that looks interesting to me, I'll put it on my wish list, but you can also click on the developer. And if you click on the developer page, it tells you all the games they have on here. And it looks like they're working on another one called Marriott Adventures. I don't know. This is kind of like an anime almost.
Mariachi.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that looks good. I like their style. Mariachi Legends.
Yeah, that pixelated 2D style, that's kind of like that Last Faith game I was playing. I don't know. I think you might have watched me stream a little bit of that game.
It's awesome.
Yeah, the music's really cool too. Like a little execution thing. La Sombra.
That's another one. The game looks sick, dude.
Look at the art style though. Like, look how good that looks, man. It's like a painted art style almost.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is like an HD PS1 game, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, that's badass. Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that one on my wish list too. I don't know. This one it just says to be announced.
Okay.
Nothing
They're
yet,
working
but
on
yeah.
it.
That
9 years
looks
of Shadows. Yeah.
that looks cool, man. Well, yeah, I've been playing some Elden Ring. I played the DLC. I beat my head against the wall with that. And then you're going to think I'm crazy, dude. I don't know if I told you this. So I bought Elden Ring on PC because I wanted to, because I originally had it on PS4, but I didn't want to play I didn't want to, the load times on PS4 are god awful. The game looks great, but the load times are really slow. So I wanted to get the DLC on PC. So I bought it. I bought Elden Ring a few months back on sale on PC. Played through it, damn near 100% of the map, and then waited for the DLC to come out. Played the DLC, and then I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? Because in Elden Ring, like, you have the option to like summon help, or like you can spawn what's called your mimic tier. So it's like you spawn a double yourself, or you can spawn summons. I was like, I'm going to go back through and play the game and beat the bosses without spawning any help. Like, just me versus the boss. No help whatsoever. So today I just finished all the main game bosses. So I beat the game again. So this is my 4th time beating the game. So now I'm going to go into the DLC and try and beat all those bosses by myself without spawning anyone. I don't know. Maybe I have a slight addiction to Elden Ring. It's a possibility.
You know what? John, John, we play games we love over and over. That's why we have these old consoles. That's why it's not just nostalgia for once upon a time I used to love Castlevania. We still love Castlevania. We still love the games that we love. And playing a game over several times. How many times you played Symphony of the Night?
I've beaten that game without dying more times than I've played a lot of other games. Like,
see, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is just who we are. You know, that's just who we are. That's
in fact, I'm due for another playthrough of Symphony of the Night because it might have been. Usually, I do it once a year. I play through the game, and I've been doing that for probably about 10 years.
Well, you know, they keep improving the Saturn version, so maybe.
I know, man. I know. I got to hook up my capture card. I'm so used to the control scheme though on a PlayStation controller, it kind of messes with me. Like, I love the Saturn controller. Don't get me wrong, but like the control scheme to switch it up on me screws with my brain. Like, there's a disconnection. Like you said, it goes back to what you're used to, and it just doesn't. I don't know, man. It's weird. Plus, it'll never be as good as the PlayStation version. I don't think it'll. It drives me crazy going from the menu to the regular game because you have that like 2 or 3 second delay. That for whatever reason drives me nuts. And then when they fix that, I might. I don't know.
They have it on the. They have it on the Xbox 360, and
I've beaten that version. Yeah. There's something I don't like about that version though. It doesn't have the beginning of the game, doesn't have the like castle appearing. It doesn't have that for whatever reason.
It's not the same. You're right. You're right.
I'm like, why did they? Because I remember playing it because I played it on PlayStation for years. And then the one day, this is like 2006 or whatever, I'm on Xbox Marketplace or whatever the hell it was called back then. And I was like, oh shit, Symphony of the Night's on here. And it was a couple bucks. So I bought it. And then I'm playing it. And I'm like, something's not right. Like, and I'm like, they got rid of that scene, and I still to this day. Maybe there's probably a reason why, and you can probably Google it. But yeah, that bothers me. But I still own it. It's still on my 360. I own that game on my 360. Wasn't it on that one? It was on the PS4 collection. I have it on there.
I was gonna say, you talk about changes. They put all the voice stuff from the PSP version on that one, so that one's weird. Like,
I like the bad voice acting.
Yeah, I can't deal with it if it's not what I'm used to. Like, again, maybe I don't know. We're old, but the original, I don't know, man. Maybe it's not better, but it seems better. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm doing.
I don't want to.
The only game I've probably bought more. Actually, I don't think there's ever been a game I've bought more than Symphony of the Night. Yeah, we play the games we like, man. You're right. It's like, that's why we got good at these games back in the day, because we played them over and over and over again. And it's muscle memory. Like, I go through Elden Ring. I'm like, oh, I got to go here. Sometimes I'll have to remember, like, oh shit, where do I go to find this, and then I have to Google it, and I go, oh yeah, that's where it was. But it's like, it's ridiculous, man. But it's fun. I love that game. The cool thing about Elden Ring is there's so many ways to play that game. Like this time when I went through and I played it, I made like a mage character. So instead of like using melee weapons, I'm using sorceries and a staff, and I'm throwing magic, and it's like it's just a totally different way to play the game. But I'm playing that. I'm playing Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm's awesome. That's like a total bro Gears of War FPS type game. I haven't really played much any retro stuff lately. Just because I've been involved in other games. Got the update. I think I don't know if I had the update of Desert of the Undead. The newest update is out, so that's like the fixed version of everything. Shout out to Master System Marceau, Alpha Nerd. They actually created a speedrun page on speedrun.com, so they were playing it, and they found, it's interesting because you and I played that game how many times over and over again, and there's stuff that we found, but then like you give it to a different group of people who play a certain way, and it's like, oh hey, like I found this and I found that. I'm like, shit, okay, cool, I'll fix it. So because they were able to do that and play that, I made a bunch of fixes. There's a huge I put a big patch on Steam. I can tell you what I did, dude. This is all I did to it. It was a pretty big patch. It's the biggest one I had. I actually changed some things too in the game too. Does it tell me where the patch is? Maybe in community notes. Yeah. What the hell? Stop playing. Community hub. Yeah, dude. So here's all what I fixed. So they found this weird bug. And the final boss was crashing if you like hugged the right side of the thing. So I fixed that. I found out what the problem was. There was like a bunch of slowdown that I fixed. There was a bug in one of the first boss of the game that would like occasionally glitch. You would like get stuck and glitch out. I fixed some warp doors. I added checkpoints. It's in the community hub if you ever want to look at it, but for anyone that's curious or has a game. So that's updated on Steam. It's updated on itch. I'm still working on cartridges. Actually, I got this guy here. I don't know if you can see that. This is a flasher, so this is what I use essentially to put the game onto the cartridge. The problem is this flasher and these boards, they're not talking to each other because the guy who made these boards, he like updated something in them in the PCBs. So I'm working on getting that fixed now. So once I do, I'll have like a handful of carts that I can do for like prototypes and give out to whoever wants to do a video on them. And I'm probably going to do a small run. I was going to do a Kickstarter, but they take like a lot of the money. It's like they take like 30%. It's pretty crazy how much they take. And that would kind of defeat the purpose of.
You ever think about maybe a Patreon or something?
No, I'm going to do a small run, probably like 20 to 50. See how they sell, and probably just sell them directly on like my website or something, because I'm working on a website, because I am working on 2 other games right now. One is the sequel to the first game, and then another one is like a space adventure, kind of like an RPG, almost like the second Zelda game. I'm just debating whether or not I want to put an overworld in it or not. I probably will. But see, these are all just ideas, so I'm working on those 2 things. And I slowly do things here and there. I can't like let myself get obsessed like I did with the first game, because it was like literally all I did for, I don't know.
For a while, it was all you did.
3 or 4 months.
It was all you. It was all you did and all I did. Like we were both just like I mean,
was
you
like,
were
hey,
doing a
I
lot
got
more
this.
than I
I
was.
was like, I
but
need you to test this. Next day, oh, I fixed this. I need you to test this.
I
Tell me what
think
you
one
think it
day,
is.
yeah, I think in one day there was one day where you sent me like 4 different versions, and I was working on it all day. I was like testing this and that, and it was fun. I had a good time testing it.
I promise I won't
You
do
know,
that to you again.
No, you will not do that to me again. But it was fun. It was a good time. You know, it makes you appreciate what goes into, like, Nintendo tests their own stuff, and everybody else apparently just makes the public test their stuff. But like Nintendo
Yeah.
actually, you know, it makes you appreciate that process. 'Cause
I,
it's like,
I was a
wow,
little,
there's a-
I mean, I was a little guilty of that too. And I mean, this was my first game, so it was a pretty big learning experience. Thankfully, everyone who has played the game really seems to enjoy it. I mean, I haven't talked to anybody that said they didn't like it. Even some like homebrew devs in the community who have made some really phenomenal games said like, this is a really, like, for your first game, this is actually really good. But again, that's because that's all I fucking did for 3 months. I mean, I would literally come home from work and work on it. Drove my wife crazy, but she's awesome. I mean, she supports me when I do stuff like that. But you know, I always think about like, what am I gonna leave behind? You know, because we're only here on this earth so long. So like when I do stuff, even like this stupid show, man, like, you know, one day I'm not gonna be here and my kids might come back and watch this or whatever. You know, again, you know, and I think about like, well, what can I do to leave my mark? And I just thought making a game would be really cool, and didn't know how much I would enjoy the process. Maybe I would have hated it. Maybe it would have sucked. It's something I really enjoyed doing. So more to come. Like next year, my goal is to maybe do some conventions and sell the game and just promote RetroBro gaming entertainment. You know, I had a guy make me like,
Nice.
you know, when you put an NES game in and like the logo comes up. I had a guy actually, he was working on some coding for me. I sent him the code, you know, because he volunteered to help me. He's like, hey, if you ever need any help with anything, man. I was like, actually, got a question for you. And I was going back and forth. He's like, hey, just send me your file. I can make the changes, and then I can like talk you through it and show you what I did. So he did that, and he's like, oh, hey, by the way, I made you like an intro screen to have like the logo pop up. So I was like, oh man, cool, thanks, I appreciate it. So the next game will have that. I might even try and at some point put it into the digital version of the Steam version.
Ooh.
So that's the game update in the development of RetroBro. But yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been a crazy month. No vacations this year. We're gonna do a day trip to the beach. It's been hotter than fucking blazes this year. Usually we get like 1 or 2 days, maybe 5 days over 90 degrees. We've had like 2 weeks straight at this point where it was just over like 93 every day. I mean, I complain to you about it, but you're in Texas, so you're like, stop bitching. Yeah.
No, you used to live in Arizona, so
It's different in
I know
Arizona, dude. It's different out there. The heat, okay. Everyone's like, yeah, it's a dry heat. And for the most part, like that's accurate. Like anything over like 105 is just hot. I don't care if it's humid or not. But like 95, 100 in Arizona and Phoenix is way better than like 90 here in humid. 90 here in humid is just, I don't know. Do you guys have humidity in your part of Texas?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I know Houston has real bad humidity, but there's parts of Texas that have that dry heat too.
Yeah, I actually, my hometown is in sort of West Texas, so it's more dry. And up here in Dallas, it's super humid. So it's unfortunately, because we have a lot of lakes, man-made lakes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it rains quite a bit. So there's a lot of humidity here. It sucks. You're right. The dry heat is better. It's better.
You guys have gnarly mosquitoes out there?
Not as bad as it used to be.
Dude,
yeah.
I got a story for you, and we'll wrap this up. And so for you or anyone else wants to listen to this, it's like we have mosquitoes here on the East Coast, but it's whatever. They're little fucking tiny little mosquitoes. Well, the first month I was in Arizona, I met this guy at the gym. We became friends, and he was big into fishing. I was like, dude, there's a desert out here. He goes, nah, man, there's some good lakes. You just got to know where to go. He's like, I got a boat. We'll go out one night. So we drive out, and in the middle of the desert, there's this lake. It's technically a river, but the way rivers are out there is they pretty much turn into lakes because they just dry up, and they just have the deeper areas. Every single mosquito in like 1,000-mile radius just goes like this to that area of water. And I remember standing there. I was wearing jeans, bro. And this is when I knew I was in trouble. A mosquito bit me through my jeans, like through my jeans, bro, in the leg. And it felt like something stabbed me. And I hit this thing, and it was like the size of my fingernail, dude. And I'm like, holy shit. The bugs out there in the desert, bro, are no joke. You couldn't pay me. You could not pay me to camp in the desert. They have these bugs out there that it's like the worst sting there is that won't kill you. Because the guy I knew was actually an exterminator. So he brought like his bug spray with him. And he was showing me these bugs because we had a lantern. It was dark. And he goes, man, that bug right there. He goes, if that thing bites you or stings you, it's going to be it's the worst pain that you can feel by a non-poisonous insect. I was like, well, that's wonderful. You know, I built the biggest fire to keep these bugs away. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my rant. So cool, man. I appreciate it. You got anything coming up on the Rumble channel? Are you doing any more streams?
I mean, I don't know. I do things whenever I feel like it. It's not a big deal. I'm not promoting anything anymore. I'm not trying to build anything anymore. I'm just having fun hanging out with people whenever I feel like it.
That's where I'm at. I'm right there with you, bro. Do it when you have time, when we want to do it. It's never an obligation for me. And that's why we only do these once a month. I mean, it's been 6 weeks since our last one, but you know, we're both busy dudes, but we want to sit around and talk about games. And I'm sure there's a few people that want to listen to us bullshit every once in a while. So.
Well,
all right, man.
I definitely enjoy. I was just gonna say I definitely appreciate this, and I enjoy hanging out with you. So you know, we'll keep doing this as long as it's something you're interested in.
All right, man. Well, thank you, and much appreciated everybody in the chat. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.
Cyrus and RetroBro, cranking out nostalgia flow. Games of your news today, partial kicks, no delay. Pixels blast, legends rise. 8-bit world pixelized. Controllers we command. Virtual worlds conquest grand. Cyan Bro, Metal Saints, gaming news without restraints. Retro games, new tech search on this pod, legends merge. Old school tales, arcades pride, console wars keep it live. Joystick buttons, old school raid, next gen glory every stage. Retro quest, fury bright, speed runs battles every night. Cyrus RetroBro stands tall, gaming legends they call. CRT screens and LED, flicker flash referee, microphone to shield their sword, podcast singers gaming lives. Flashing screens and LED, flicker, flash, referee, microphone to shield their sword, podcast singers